Today, we're looking at the Central Pneumatics 2-in-1 flooring nailer and stapler. The packaging implies that it comes with a mallet, some tooling, some sort of spacer for the various different sized hardwood. We'll see what the heck that is. It looks like maybe a safety goggle. And it claims it can do up to 2-inch nails and cleats. To go with this, I got the 15.5 gauge staples, 2-inch long staples. Well, here's the important thing. It does 16 gauge, 1.5 inch to 2-inch long L-cleat nails, or 15.5 gauge, 1 inch to 2-inch flooring staples. So you got to make sure you get 15.5 gauge. Well, here's what's inside the box. We can see our stapler with a handle. I still have to assemble it. We have a plastic spacer with a few screws. We seem to have a few more screws, nuts, bolts, O-rings, and some compressor oil, or whatever they call that kind of oil. A pair of safety goggles, a manual, and a very heavy-duty, strong mallet. Well, I just opened up the box, and here's what's inside. We have a handle, and the handle seems to have some sort of a carrying bracket for 3 Allen wrenches. The main gun assembly itself. A plastic spacer with a couple of screws. A bag of more nuts, bolts, and washers, and some oil. Goggles. Manual. And a very nice heavy-duty mallet. That's a really big, stronger, that's a heavier duty mallet than I was expecting. So we go put this thing together and see how it works. I used the large Allen to install the bolts that were in with the oil bottle. You can see how they got a flat washer, a lock washer, and then an acorn nut on the end, and you sure want to make those things tight. The unit comes with this extra spacer. This spacer is for 1/2 inch thick flooring, and the spacer that comes pre-installed is for 3/4 inch. I just happen to have some 3/4 inch. Take a look at it. You can see how nicely it fits right there, right at the tip, and then the hole where the staples comes out is right there. So it seems to work very nicely for 3/4. But let's give it a try and find out how it works in the real world. It comes with a bottle of oil, and make sure you put a couple drops before you start, and they say a drop or two every hour of usage. So keep everything well oiled. Here's our 15.5 gauge 2-inch staples, and there's a button up on the top. We pull this up, the thing opens, we grab some of our staples, slide it in, and then close the top. There is a limitation on how close you can get to a wall. Right now, the magazine hits the wall right now. This is a 5-inch board, and I've got a chalk line at 5 3/8, and there's still maybe a good 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch over there. So let's just say 6 inches. You can't really, you shouldn't really try to go within 6 inches of a wall with the nailer. So that is one limitation you're going to have in this type of device. Okay, this is the very first staple I did, and it's not in there all the way. I'm going to have to take this thing out. And I looked at the compressor, and I was only at like about 75 pounds per square inch. And typically, I guess, I think I'm going to try 90, and we'll see what happens here. I'll let you guys know. Okay, here we are at 100 psi. You can kind of see it's fully seated in there, and that looks a lot better. Put a little oil in there too. A little ways down here, and here's an interesting thing. We seem to have a double nail. Well, it's not perfect. We'll see. I'll see how many more of these things there are. That was the first one. Really a double nail. When I pulled on it, the nail just didn't go in, and somehow it folded up. I guess it's a really tough piece of walnut. Here's another close-up of one of those bent staples. You can see one end goes out. You can see it sticking out there, and the other end just never seems to make it anywhere. So it's kind of interesting. I've gotten about 3 of those so far. So, yeah, I guess that's something that happens. Every once in a while you have a problem and the nailer doesn't quite work right, and the nail doesn't go in. And I wouldn't say the nailer doesn't work right. I kind of see this thing. Oh boy, that's kind of in there, but anyway. Oh, there we go. Problem fixed.